Welcome back to Batman Arkham City. We'll be doing a little bit of side stuff, only because Mad Hatter's our obligatory Scarecrow section of this game.
I have a question. When did Batman start to have the ability to glide with his cape? Like, when was that introduced?
Batman Begins.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that... Yeah, it was a really, really recent addition to his powers.
Well, sort of. It was a gamey thing before Batman Begins, but it really didn't become a part of the mythos that the cape could do that until Batman Begins.
Right.
Yeah, because I think about it, even in the animated series, Batman would often use a glider
Yeah.
to like
So
get about.
it took, like-
or he would make a special cape specifically designed to do that.
It took,
Right.
like, a decent, like, number of decades before people realized, hey, this guy's named Batman, but the only reason he's called Batman is because he dresses up like a bat to scare the shit out of people. He doesn't have any actual bat-related powers, does he? So, like, glide cape, sure.
They say he drinks blood.
No,
I mean, he
that-
doesn't even really look like a bat that much. He has just, like, ears.
There was a vampire hunter in the Gail Simone New 52 Batgirl run who thought the entire Bat family was vampires. He seriously did. The punchline was, like, right as you thought he was just crazy and Batgirl had convinced him that there were no vampires, the little girl that she was trying to rescue revealed herself to be a vampire by drinking his blood. Fortunately, he was such an obsessive about this that he had been chugging holy water like a motherfucker, and his blood burned the vampire to death. And Batgirl was just left sitting there blinking like an idiot after the vampire hunter left in triumph. So, yeah. That was
I'm
a thing.
surprised. I'm surprised they don't do the detective vision being jammed more in these games, especially considering that. Oh, I never turned detective mode off is like one of the more common complaints.
It's because it's because people would get annoyed at them if they did that. Like, you gave us this power, but you're taking it away so often.
I
It's
mean,
also a matter of it's the only good way to see things sometimes.
Yeah.
They introduced it here earlier than they did in City, and City was late game.
I understand that, but at the same time, taking away a core like I think a lot of the time an ability like this can be seen as a crutch, and taking that crutch away from the player, at least temporarily, can often lead to
Yeah.
more interesting gameplay things.
Yeah, but the other games, like the main reason it's a problem is because you can see everything too clearly. Really, there's no trade-off for turning on the detective vision, except for the fact that you don't get to experience the environmental detail. Everything that you need to see to play the game, though, is still visible. Other games that have these kind of powers, like the Tomb Raider reboot, I think, and Onward and
Wait.
Onward, they usually they couch it as being like a special like focused sense. So the other stuff.
Yeah, like in Last of Us, it's just hearing, so you can kind of hear when people are moving, but nothing that's around you. So you
Wait, how do they
wander around
have
and bump into
detective
things.
mode in Tomb Raider?
Oh, it's like survival vision or whatever. But when it happens in other games that do that, they like I was saying, they sort of call it a focused sense, and they use that as an excuse to dull your other senses while using it, so you don't want to have it on all the time. What in the name of?
Name Joker ring a bell?
Wait, I thought Black Mask was kidnapped. What happened?
You son of a bitch! You think you can steal from me?
Oh,
Guess-
the
well, if
Joker
Black,
is
if Black
the
Mask
is the
yeah,
Black Mask.
There you go.
Oh.
Also, we have our debut of Troy Baker as the Joker.
Our
It was doing 98% Mark Hamill's voice.
Yeah.
Let's see how the other unfortunate thing about Arkham Origins is that it's the one game in the series that Hamill didn't voice the Joker. As I recall, Hamill had sworn off voicing the Joker at this point in time, but came back because he really wanted to do the Killing Joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that turned out to be not a very good movie. So, good job, Mark.
I mean, I do like Troy Baker because he sounds like Mark Hamill did, 30 years ago
Yeah,
doing
somewhat.
the role. Like I
Like-
say, it's like 98%. He's a bit more shrill than Mark was.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's about my only critique. Because if you're gonna be so adamant on mimicking Mark Hamill at his prime as Joker, then you got to make sure it's damn perfect, and it is. It's still good. Like it's still really good.
Yeah. Well, they did a good job at introducing the Joker here. The only problem I have with him is that he's in this game.
Yeah.
I do like the Joker venom, the Joker poison, Joker gas reveal.
She's been using brand X.
Yeah, that was one of those. They couldn't get actual violence behind the censor, so they had to come up with a way for the Joker to deal with people. And then everyone on the staff, from like Bruce Timm and all, was like, "This is actually worse than him just shooting people."
Yeah.
It's
But
yeah.
the censor, but it's not shooting people, so the censors were okay with it.
Yeah, sometimes limitation can lead to some really genius creative decisions, and the Joker gas was one of them.
Was that something that they introduced in the animated series?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then when they got to stuff like Mask of the Phantasm, which was like deliberately more mature, they showed the Joker gas in much more graphic detail. Like they showed people laughing.
Oh,
to
okay.
the
You
point
said
where, like,
Joker
they were,
gas specifically.
like
Okay.
breathless, wide-eyed, obviously at the point where their life was being threatened.
I'm pretty sure Joker gas has been a thing since the 80s in the comics, because the '89 film had it's not exactly Joker gas, but it was like Smilex, like the combination of makeup products to have people die from asphyxiation and smiling.
It's not quite the same thing, though.
But the idea is kind of the
Yeah.
same, though. That's what I'm pretty sure. Joker gas has been a thing in the comics before the animated series made
Really?
a thing.
Huh. Interesting. I'll have to look that up later. But wherever it came from, whoever came up with it deserves like 5 different raises, and a promotion, and then another promotion, and then a raise on top of that.
A promotion.
A raise on top of that, because I just realized that the promotion would probably nullify their raises by just knocking them up a pay grade.
And they got to wait a week.
Congratulations on your promotion, sir. I make $20,000 a year less than I did before. Yep. Doing good work,
Yeah,
son.
but think of all the clout.
No, what I mean is, like, when you go up a pay grade, you might not necessarily gain in pay in proportion to however many raises you gained before. You might just go up to the lowest number on that pay grade, which would still be more than you were making before, but would be less of a gain than if you got that
Yeah, but you
promotion
said that
before
they
the
should get
raise.
like 7 raises. So.
Yeah, 7 raises. So you got a bunch of raises, but then you're still going up to the same like $30 an hour that you would have made without the raises if you got the promotion before them. So
Do I silent take down him in the smoke or literally kick him in the ass?
Kick him in the ass. Kick him in the
I
ass.
must ponder this.
wow.
So they didn't even go like half the game before blowing their load on. It was actually the Joker the whole time, which
At least it's better than waiting to the last second and getting hijacked by Ganon via Twilight Princess, but...
I mean, but Ryan, they had a cutscene where they mentioned Ganondorf, like halfway through the game, so that means it was foreshadowed.
It wasn't relative to the plot at all.
I will say that because Twilight Princess was my first 3D Zelda, and the only 2D Zelda I'd played before that was Link's Awakening, I didn't get quite hit so hard by the hijacked by Ganon moment as I would have if I'd played the other games before Twilight Princess, because I didn't know who Ganondorf was. That was my first encounter with the bastard, so it's weird. I thought the story was awesome until I played the other games later and retroactively realized it was a really lame story twist. It's funny how that can happen.
Upgrades.
Yeah. Special combo multi-takedown.
Anyone who's on the ground when you use it will immediately get taken out by batarangs.
Oh, nice.
It's very useful.
They did a good job at finding out cool upgrades for this combat system, which I applaud them on, because the combat system itself is not exactly conducive to, like, complex mechanics. It's more about, nailing everyone with your basic punch and kick.
I mean, it's effectively a rhythm game.
Yeah, it's effectively a rhythm game. So coming up with, like, interesting upgrades for your character and new moves and stuff within that framework is a bit difficult. And ever since Arkham Asylum, they've been doing a pretty good job of that. So, yeah, it's one of those things where I just like I sincerely doubt that I myself have the creativity to be a decent game designer because I couldn't come up with this shit. Of course, they put a bunch of mooks in the passageway that you have to go through in order to get out of this glassed-in corridor.
Do you have to fight them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if you're careful, you can take one or two out but via stealth before the fight begins, which I think is what Ryan is trying to do here.
The other dude though is always looking at the group though. The one on the front.
That's like the only other drawback of detective vision that I can think of is that it's hard to tell which direction people are fucking facing.
Boop.
Because you basically have to like go by the direction that their gun is pointed, but if it's an enemy that doesn't have a gun, then
And that's that. Punch number.
oh my god.
Hi, I'm Bobo.
Last gen ragdolls were awesome.
Oh, Bobo.
Hi, I'm Marco.
Every solid object at the moment.
Bobo's
Every
dead.
solid object in video gaming last gen, once it was handed over to the physics engine, might as well have been made of bouncy styrofoam.
It's still kind of like that, though, to be fair.
It is, but it's gotten better. Like, instead of people bouncing around or large objects bouncing around, things do feel like they have a bit more weight. It's the ragdolls of limbs that are really distracting still.
Yeah, they, like, contort in human ways that make you
They
feel
flail
like...
about like they're in Gmod or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Designers, programmers need to figure out a way to, like, limit the range of body motion to what you would expect muscle flexibility to allow.
You know, if Batman considered not wearing the stupid outfit, he might be able to just, like, walk around without people, like, noticing him. You ever think about that,
He
Batman?
kind of does that at one point in oh, which one was it? There was a oh yeah, it was the Justice League. It was the Justice League movie where he like hid his costume underneath clothes and disguised himself as a homeless bum and let one of Darkseid's the animated movie, I mean, not the
Live action one.
yeah. The new 52 Justice League movie, he disguised himself as a homeless bum, hid his mask under his clothes, and let himself purposely be taken away by one of Darkseid's minions so that he could get to
Apocalypse.
So that he could get to Apocalypse.
I remember that scene specifically for him ripping off his bat sigil on his chest like it was a fucking sticker. I was like, that's a sticker? I thought it was just embroidered into the suit.
I mean, Superman has a floaty thing.
It might not be a
Superman
sticker.
too.
It might
Yeah.
be a refrigerator magnet.
So he doesn't
It's
just
still
have rock
bizarre.
hard abs, he has metallic, magnetic
Well,
abs.
half of his costumes these days are made of armor, so, you know, actual abs of steel, nipples of rubber.
Hello? Nothing but bunnies here. Look, I've even got tall ears. Right?
How do you do, fellow rabbits?
Be very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits.
Here's my question.
punching rabbits.
Why are they wearing white rabbit masks when what they really should be wearing is March hare masks? Come on.
Probably because of the other rabbit from Alice in Wonderland is more
White
iconic
Rabbit,
because of the,
yeah.
the
So,
Disney movie.
basically what you're saying is that this guy is a fake Alice in Wonderland nerd.
Yes, he is. He's a fake
For
Alice in
God's
Wonderland fan. He
Also,
doesn't
if
even
we
really
wanna
know
get back-
that Through the Looking Glass was a second novel because he only watched the movies.
Also, if we want to backtrack a little bit, I mean, Batman did and Elmer Fudd did cross over in that Looney Tunes
Oh
thing.
my god.
What?
Yes.
Yeah, they did a bunch.
It's both Warner Brothers,
Yeah, they
so-
did a bunch of issues. Well, like one shots where a bunch of characters were crossing over with Looney Tunes characters, but they made the Looney Tunes fit the DC thing they were with. So Elmer Fudd was with Batman. He was just like a really down on his luck hunter who was trying to make his name for himself by hunting Batman.
Wait,
So
live
he was
action
Kraven.
Elmer Fudd?
Yeah.
he was oh wait, Klaven from Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's basically what he was.
Yeah. I mean, you also had Wile E. Coyote and Lobo.
It's almost as sad as like the the Flintstones comic that DC did, where Fred Flintstone
We
says
participated in a genocide bomb.
Oh God, here we are.
Here's our Scarecrow section.
Still less tacky than the Tim Burton movie.
I was about to make a comment about this looking more like a Tim Burton movie than Wonderland, but you know.
The Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland is actually like one of my least favorite.
While we're
movies.
at it, can we stop making edgy Wonderland stories, please? It's not.
But you
creative
don't
anymore.
understand. It's actually really dark source material, Lewis.
It's not really dark source material. It's really silly and whimsical source material.
It's yeah, but wouldn't it be really cool if we had Alice, but she had blood over her? Oh man, that'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
Okay.
Okay, hot topic.
You know, the thing is, half the Alice in Wonderland is insane kind of stuff. It's like it doesn't really feel like Wonderland. It feels like Oz. You're adapting the wrong franchise, guys.
Yeah, if you want something that's actually really twisted and screwed up, Oz is where you wanna go.
Have you seen Return to Oz?
God, not all the way through ever.
Good job,
but
Batman.
I know that it's pretty screwed up.
It's like they sort of just amalgamated several of the later Oz books into a sequel movie, and well, it's a bit of a trip, but not half as much of a trip as the books.
When did Batman become Crash Bandicoot?
I don't know.
Huh?
I've been asking I've been asking myself that question ever since someone called this the Dark Souls of Batman games. But
What is the difference between something in a series becoming tradition or gratuitous? Because I'm struggling to identify the Scarecrow and / Mad Hatter sequences as one or the other.
Well, I think the worst one is Spider-Man PS4.
There's one, and there's
Okay,
a
that's not
sequence
Batman.
like this in Spider-Man.
Yeah,
PS4.
because he gets poisoned by Scorpion, and it does this weird.
That's
it
right,
does this
you're
really
right.
weird thing. It's like poison doesn't do that.
If you wanted to do a segment like that, why not use Mysterio?
you can have bizarre fever dreams when you're poisoned.
Yeah, but it's handled exactly like a Scarecrow section in Arkham. It's like,
Yeah, but
this
like-
feels like really just obligatory because you just copied
Yeah,
Arkham's style.
the thing is, like, in the Scarecrow and Mad Hatter sequences, your ability to complete the section directly relates to your ability to survive the situation, right? If you're just having a fever dream because you're poisoned, then surviving the section or not just means you had a bad dream that ended badly, and then you woke up like normal. It didn't cure the poison, did it?
Also, as a nerd who likes the comics, why pick Scorpion and not Mysterio when this
Because the
is-
game was focused on the Sinister Six.
I know, is Mysterio like in the game at all?
Nope.
I mean, granted, yes, but Mysterio can be part of the Sinister Six.
They
know,
probably wanted to save Mysterio for a later game, since that was supposed to be the start of like a whole video game cinematic universe.
Yeah, they blew their load on like 90% of Spider-Man's villains in that first game.
Well, I mean, that's what you do when you do the Sinister. That's actually, again, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna gush about Spectacular Spider-Man for a moment. Part of what that series does really well is that they introduce each villain with like basically their own episode over the course of the first season, and then you get to the episode where they do the Sinister Six, and like Spider-Man like literally gets his ass kicked by them. How he wins is that at that point he's Black Suit, and he goes to bed thinking that he'd lost at that point, and then basically the suit, he wakes up and they're already dead. Well, not dead, but the suit basically beat them while he was sleeping, which made like Venom in that season also really cool because they kind of showed that that's how powerful the symbiote is. Like, it's better off without Peter in some instances. So, to get around to what my point originally was, the Sinister Six is something you lead up to once you've already established a couple of the villains versus
Nah, they were just
starting
bosses
off.
in Spider-Man PS4.
Yeah, it's just like,
Okay, well, my question was originally like supposed to be within the Arkham games.
Oh, yeah.
Not so much like
Okay.
Spider-Man like doing
Yeah.
it blatantly. Because I would say that was just that's gratuitous.
Yeah.
But like within the Arkham games, though, it was like at what point does
think it was-
cross over from tradition and just become
I
gratuitous?
think it was gratuitous even by City because that felt kind of out of nowhere for even Ra's al Ghul.
The thing about the
But you're saying the Mad Hatter was also in City. They did the same thing in
The
City.
thing about the Scarecrow sequences is it's justifiable because that's what the gas does. It makes you see fears. The
Right.
thing about the Wonderland sequence, though, is like, what basis is there for this happening? And in like Mad Hatter's power set, he controls minds, right?
Well, he's a mind controller and hypnotist, yeah.
Right. So what's causing the weird Wonderland adventure going on here?
Mind control and hypnotism.
Just with drugs too. I think he uses drugs and.
That's not what mind control
occasionally.
does.
I mean, I guess if you take it at like face value,
Okay,
it is
so
controlling his mind to see these, but that's not what we think.
Well, remember,
of it.
think back to what was the name of the episode? Perchance to Dream.
Yeah,
in
the only
animated series?
thing the only worthwhile thing Mad Hatter's ever been a part of.
Yeah. Well, how did he induce those hallucinations to Bruce? He put him to sleep.
Well, it was like this mind control hat thing
Right.
that he had Batman in.
my question is
That sounds really lame when you describe it like this. Mind control.
my question-
Behold, my mind control hat.
my
thing.
question is like, okay, is this like literally happening in his head? Is like the reason that the others, like that the people who got mind controlled, were they just not good enough platformers, or?
Well, I mean, I think it's largely all in his head because I think it was either this one or in City where after it's all over, Batman's just surrounded by a bunch of thugs on the ground.
The other thing, though, is
so-
that having this kind of thing happen too frequently kind of blunts the impact when it
I
does.
think so to try to answer your question, John, I would say it starts being gratuitous if/when A, it stops being a good sequence on its own merits, and B, it stops doing something different to differentiate itself between the last times you did it. You know? Like I guess like one example is just like, oh, why does every game need to have a water level? You know, a lot of people don't get that, but it's, you know, the only reason why a lot of people don't like water levels in like Mario is just like, okay, it's the same water level that we've done since 1985, but if the water level they do is new and good, then people don't mind that it's another water level because it was a good water level. Maybe that's not the best comparison, but
It's
I think
not.
you get what I mean.
It's not, because like the reason we have so many water levels is because water itself is so goddamn common. Whereas hallucinations need a bit more narrative justification. And you could
Yeah.
do some amazing narrative things with hallucinations. There was basically an entire episode of the animated series that was all about Batman doped up on fear gas, hallucinating what would happen if Batgirl died, and Gordon just like found out who she was and what had happened and declared a massive fucking manhunt for him. And it was the entire episode, and you didn't find out that it was a hallucination until the very end. It was just like a nightmare scenario. Oh.
I'm surprised Jervis hasn't slit the throat already because you have every intention of throwing that fucking thing.
It also tells you exactly how you're supposed to beat him too, which is
Yeah. That's usually how these hostage situations in the Arkham series go.
Well, what happened? I'm up. Hello.
Do they do the I'm the Vengeance thing? Because that's kind of my thing whenever
Yeah.
Jarvis does that.
I wasn't watching.
Police are on their way. Everything's going to be all right.
Uh,
No, it's not.
Well, okay then.
that's.
I'm just here to save you from danger. I'm not your therapist.
I was about to make a comment about like her, being traumatized, but then she said no, it's not, which is like the worst and most ham-handed way I've ever seen anyone address in writing the fact that a hostage situation would leave someone traumatized afterward. It's like, yeah, okay, you're a little bit calm about that, aren't you? Yeah.